أنفسكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون.
Home is where the heart is. Home is where you feel safe and secure. Dalaba Housing Estate is the newest estate by TAF Africa Global, located strategically along the newly built Sokoto-Jabang Highway. Dalaba Estates offers roads, street lights, a gated community that offers water reticulation system, solar street lights, and a proper drainage system. Over the next 10 years, TAF Africa Global aims to build 10,000 homes in the Gambia for you to own. For you to feel safe and secure in a community with all the necessities to live comfortably.
Hello, good evening. You're watching us live from the Gambia Radio and Television Services, and this is the news coming to you straight from Banjul, also coming up. The Gambia National Scorpions advances to the quarterfinals of the ongoing African Cup of Nations in Cameroon, beating Guinea 1-0. Renowned international human rights advocate and Pan-Africanist Queen Mother claims $3 trillion from colonial masters being compensation to the 55 million Africans taking into the transatlantic slave trade. The Director General of the Gambia Immigration Department embarks on a countrywide tour assessing immigration infrastructure and personnel. And in the internationals, authorities in Burkina Faso has deposed the Roch Kabore-led government, citing allegations of corruption, civil unrest, and incompetence to deal with insurgents as reasons for his coup d'etat. Well, these and many other stories coming ahead in the next 40 minutes. I am Fatu Janyambai. Well, many thanks for joining GRTS News, and now we begin this edition of the Bulletin with a clarion call by renowned international human rights advocate and Pan-Africanist Dr. Deloy Pakale, popularly known as Queen Mother. The Afro-American senior citizen claims $3 trillion from colonial masters through the United Nations, where she served for 53 years as Goodwill Ambassador. Dr. Pakale heads the Kingdom of Kush and is the community mayor of Harlem in the United States. Her recent visit to the Gambia was to bring and extend condolences to the Bronx fire victims, four of whom were returned whilst the rest remains interned in the United States. She was earlier speaking to GRTS's Babukar Kamara, and take a listen.
I'm sure you heard of the tragedy in the United States and the Bronx, which is in New York City. The death of the children that died in a fire. And Queen Mother was there in the Bronx praying for the children's spirit. And many of the children were from Gambia. About 17 have died, perished, which are immigrants in the United States of America. And no way we should have had such a tragedy of the lives of immigrant children, particularly the Gambia, where there was a little heater in the middle of the floor, which it should have never happened. The lack of heat and hot water during the death and during the dead winter in the United States of America, and especially New York City. And so Queen Mother brings greetings and brings sorrow to the nation for this tragedy of our young people, our children that died in this historic fire in New York, Bronx, New York City, New York, Bronx. Queen Mother has been at the United Nations for 53 years as a humanitarian at the United Nations and being engaged with the NGOs and civil society at the United Nations. Queen Mother was born in the United States of America, which I am a daughter of Mother Africa. My ancestors were sold into slavery. It's the greatest crime ever committed against a people. And as I have expressed that crime to the world community at the United Nations, and as I say to the world, you owe me personally, as the Queen Mother, $3 trillion down payment for that crime. You can never pay me for what you've done to me. Robbed me of my family, my tradition, my culture, my food, my language, my family, of that transatlantic ocean of the slave trade taken out of Africa without our will. So we will be guided, the 55 million of us that have lost our way, to return home. And at the United Nations, it's called the Ark of Return.
That was Dr. Delos Pakale, popularly known as Queen Mother there, speaking to GRTS's Babukar Kamara on her recent visit to the Gambia. The 83-year-old Queen Mother is requesting $3 trillion for the 55 million Africans taken into slavery during the transatlantic slave trade and later neglected after the abolishment of slavery and involuntary servitude in 1865. Her fight is projecting $800 million for affordable homes in the Gambia, with an additional $400 million in the National Marching Fund for citizens of this country. Well, we hope her fight bears fruit sooner rather than later. And elsewhere, the Ministry of Health has received a donation of medicine, mobility, and other consumables from the National People's Party chapter in France. And as Sinabujan reports, the event held at the Central Medical Stores in Kotu seeks to complement the government's efforts towards improving primary health care service delivery.
The items being delivered here today, being donated, are hospital beds, mattresses, wheelchairs, walking aid, armchairs, refrigerators, baby toys, suction machine, hand sanitizers, 2,000 face masks, ethanol liquid. We also have very valuable machines, the blood glucose testing machines. We also have other varieties of drugs involving antihypertensive and anti-cholesterol, as well as painkillers.
The donors are far away from their homeland, but are in their words contributing to nation building, since it's their belief that the government alone cannot do it. The treasurer, NPP France chapter, Kalilu Sanyang, however, singled out Ajamama Drame for the vital role she played in this facilitation. President of the association, Asa Silla, thanked the delegation representing the Minister of Health and the Gambian ambassador to France, Ibrahim Kamara, for helping in the transportation of the package from France to the Gambia. She also appealed to the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, for government to consider children of Gambian migrants in France who are studying to become doctors and nurses, to consider giving them the opportunity to acquire the practical skills in the Gambia. The Gambia has a large diaspora community spread across the Americas, Europe, Asia, and Africa, and it's common for associations and groups to think of their people back home by donating medical items. Sainabujan Jania for GRTS News.
And elsewhere, Sanunding Kambenkafo is a village-based association that is formed with the objective of uniting efforts and mobilizing financial and human resources. The objective of the group is to support development initiatives at the village level. The latest effort has the aim of bringing about a better quality of life for community residents and making Sanunding second to none around that part of the country. And as Seydou Camara reports, the ambulance project is launched to help facilitate the speedy movement of their sick, particularly maternal women, to the Basse District Hospital.
Advancing community mobilization efforts in the Upper River region, local association Sanunding Kambenkafo is moving to augment the plight of its people. The association was set up to mobilize material, financial, and human resources to support the development initiative in the village, with the latest intervention providing an ambulance services to ease access to healthcare.
The community ambulance, which means the ambulance is not belong to only Sanunding, is through community, those villages who are surrounding the Sanunding. And it is a challenge for us, and we really try. And then, first of all, I will thank the member of Sanunding Kambenkafo and each committee members for their efforts.
According to the Association Secretary General Yaya Jabi, the group embarked on several support programs to uplift the living condition in the community.
You can see when they demonstrate the donkey cart there, and then that's what we know. Even I myself, when I was a child, and let's say before I came this world, and then that's what we do. If the women want to deliver, there is no access for us. What we can do is just to take donkey cart and took the person to the health center. And then sometimes there are a lot of women who die in labor before they reach at health center. So we grow up seeing those kind of things. And as the generation we are now, we can say, okay, let's all try and do our best. We cannot do everything that we want, but we need to check the most important things to save people's life. Not only Sanunding people, but the entire Gambians. This ambulance is not belong to only Sanunding. If people call from Bansan, there is no ambulance. Here is the ambulance of Sanunding. They can go and save life. That's what we want.
Representative from the Director of Health in the region, Sambaba, commended the Sanunding Kambenkafo for providing an ambulance to the community which will address challenges faced in accessing healthcare services.
I think this will definitely help in reducing the delays that occurs in reaching to the healthcare services areas. And we understand we have a lot of difficulties, especially in the rainy season. We register a lot of infant mortalities and maternal mortality cases, not because of they cannot be managed at the facility, but because of delay and slow access to the healthcare services. So with the presence of these ambulance services, we believe it is going to go a long way in addressing some of those challenges that we are being faced.
The president of the association, Alaji Moro Dumbuya, appealed to the government and agencies to come to their aid with a good road network that will also create easy movement for the people, particularly access to healthcare services. Before this intervention by the surrounding Kamben Kafo, the community previously transported their sick and pregnant women to Basse to access healthcare with donkey carts. Community elders, including the VTC chairman Yayo Drame, both thanked the surrounding Kamben Kafo for what they described as a life-changing initiative. In 2018, the association provided a solar borehole for the community worth 1.3 million to supply water to the entire village, alongside several other projects that continue to directly benefit the people. Saidu Kamara, reporting for Jatas News from Basse, Upper River region.
And from the Upper River region, there we shift attention to the North Bank region now, where the countrywide implementation scheme of the Roots project recently concluded a 3-month training in the North Bank community of Kanuma. The activity is a new model expected to build the capacity of beneficiary communities on agro-resilience. Farmer Kanye visited one of the participants in Kanuma village to gauge the impact of the intensive livelihood program, and this is what he gathered.
Completed a 3-month training conducted by the officials of the Roots project. At a small home in the village of Kanuma, she is prepared for her morning chores. Like most women in this part of the country, Jenaba's morning routines will include laundry accompanied by sweeping. To keep her environment clean, perhaps a visitor may come by. Her housemates numbered 25. For the past 3 months, they had been exposed to many new skills. Months of learning, especially for adults of our nature, must be a demanding task. But with determination, they went through all the stages and are now prepared for the journey of knowledge transfer. She told GR3S her ambition of disseminating the knowledge learned, starting with her family. I now know that family care is a shared responsibility. I also know how to manage my income. In fact, I started saving money to take care of my future needs and perhaps even use some for investment. The concept is part of the implementation arrangements of the multi-million-dollar Roots project, which seeks to improve not only rural agriculture but even the capacity of communities in conformity to the changing trends of the modern world. Normally, I will use my various platforms to transfer the knowledge learned, and today, many of my friends are coming on board because they are seeing the benefits. I believe my efforts are really paying dividend. Usman Sedi lives with Jenaba in the same compound. He confirmed the resourcefulness of the training and the series of benefits they derive from Jenaba's periodic evening lectures. This training has brought unity in our compound. Jenaba has encouraged many of us to create savings for our monies. Again, she has even inculcated in us the spirit of sharing responsibilities with our wives, and that's definitely a good improvement in our lives. Deifatu Haidara is one of her course mates. The young woman is busy cooking her afternoon meal. One of the benefits of the training gaining roots in our compound is the division of labor over household chores. The training has improved my family management skills. Since I started the course, it has brought a series of benefits to me and my family. We now dialogue over issues of interest. There is division of labor, and above all, it has brought peace and understanding within the family. In a meeting, Demba Sanyang, the regional coordinator of the Roots project, called on the beneficiaries to make best use of the knowledge learned. He also advised them to disseminate every bit of the lessons learned to their fellow villagers.
Ninga mutano nyofe, ibajalan si dimbal keno kilinti, sate osidia, sinkirol sidia.
The program is expected to provide beneficiaries with knowledge to promote all inclusiveness, as well as address gender inequalities, empower women to participate in family decision making over pertinent issues such as income generation and its expenditure. For the news, I am Famara Kanyi.
And from that report by Famara Kanyi in the North Bank region, we'll take our first break. When we return, we'll take a look at some sports news. To stay with us.
AfriCell, in partnership with Geek Express, visited 22 schools.
I learned things I never knew before.
Provided 1,200 students new skills to practice and learn.
To teach us how to use, because right now we're in the modern technology.
New technologies.
I learned so much about it because this is my first time of experiencing such, and I'm very happy about it.
3D printed. Robotics.
It was really fun, and then we got to learn new things, especially about robots.
Electronics. VR and AR. Drone. Enable students to explore new opportunities.
But I've never done it like with real life and then fixing objects on my own. So it's been a pleasure.
New information. Connect the students to the technology world.
There wouldn't be a future without you. You are the future.
AfriCell, the Gambia's leading network.
The GRA, in executing its mandate of collecting revenue for national development in a fair and transparent manner, will recognize and award compliant taxpayers who consistently pay and file their taxes on time and present original and authentic customs documents at the annual Taxpayers Award ceremony. This year's edition of the Taxpayers Award ceremony will take place on Saturday, January 29, 2022 at the Keraba Beach Hotel, commencing at 7:30 p.m. The event will be graced by the President of the Republic of the Gambia, His Excellency Mr. Adama Barrow, the executive and members of the business community. The fourth edition of the GRA Taxpayer Award ceremony, a memorable night, is assured. GRA, collecting revenue for national development.
Welcome back to GRTS News. And in sports, of course, after what appeared as a shock to the world, the Scorpions of the Gambia has reached the AFCON quarterfinals with another shocking performance, edging out the Silly National of Guinea in the elimination rounds of 16. Forward Musa Barrow scored the all-important goal that condemned Guinea to a 1-0 defeat. Unpredictable Thompson Faye's side will not take Cameroon in the quarterfinals on Saturday. Now, GRTS's Famara Baji earlier went out to gauge the opinions and hopes of fans about the team and how far they've gone in their debut appearance at the 2022 African Championship, and this is his report.
Having shocked the world with a surprise performance that saw them secure 7 points to advance to the knockout stages in their maiden AFCON appearance, the Scorpions of the Gambia will square off against Guinea in the round of 16 on Monday at Bafoussam in Cameroon's western region. This accomplishment couldn't contribution and key role played by Scorpion fans in Cameroon and back home in the Gambia. while the team seek to make more breakthroughs in the next game. Many already view the team's current form as an incredible achievement.
They really surprised the country, they really surprised the whole world at large, because as you can see, too many people don't know about the Gambia. They thought that it's a dot and the like. So they are belittling us and we are doing wonders. So we are so happy about the game, about the people, about each and every one.
Of course, I'm happy. So far, they made us proud. Yeah, and I'm hoping that for the upcoming match, although we will win. So
even if they happen to stopped here, I don't pray for that, but even if the boys happen to end their journey in the Cup of Nations here, I can say I'll be still glad, because this is our first time. I have never expected Gambia winning teams like Tunisia. So to me, as of now, they are champions, despite the fact that they have not even, win the trophy.
For me personally, I never watched football. But first time in my life, I'm watching football. So I'm really happy that, I'm really proud of our boys, what they are doing out there. They are really making us proud, because for me, they are making me to watch football, and we are all happy that, and I believe they're going to come back victorious.
We are really excited. The boys are really performing very well. Even though we don't expect it like this.
Bit by bit, they can bring the cup. Yeah, that's what we expect from them, and we see also they are on the way. What are we going to do is only to pray for them to bring the cup, inshallah.
As the Scorpions prepare to take on Guinea's Silly Nationals, who have their sights set on their first AFCON title after 13 attempts, supporters back home are hopeful of a positive outcome.
Well, it's a game of equals, yeah, because we have been defeating Guinea. So meeting Guinea and then defeating them 2-0, I would not be surprised. In fact, that is what I'm expecting. Gambia winning Guinea 2-0.
We have made it to the round of 16, which every Gambian should be proud of. This is the first time, and we have shown the energy that the people are showing. Yeah, we are really glad for it, and inshallah, we are going to win tomorrow.
For the Guinea game, for me, I think it's 50-50. So things can happen there. But then, let the boys work hard and then do their level best, and inshallah we'll come up with a victory. So I'm expecting them to win.
The cautious approach to games applied by Scorpions head coach Tom Sampey has been increasingly questioned, but supporters hold different views on that.
Yeah, I believe if they continue with the philosophy of the coach, the way they respect their opponents, I think they are going to do very well.
He should change his tactics, because if you see in football, if you defend too much, it will affect you. Because as you are defending, you are giving chance to the other team to attack. So if they are going to attack you, they are going to put pressure more on the defense. So it may come to a time one defender can make error, they escort you. So if you want to attack back, it will be very difficult, because you have 7 defenders or 5 defenders in the field.
I think the coach has to play his part very well. Now he has seen the team, he has examined everything. Now I think he has to play his part very well, like by selecting the one who has to play now, because the team is there now.
When asked about their prediction about the Gambia-Guinea clash, excited Scorpion fans on the heels of a history-making event express hopes and confidence that the fairy tale will continue.
Let's say 2-0. Musa Barrow will put a goal in that this time.
2-0.
Gambia will win 2-0.
Of course.
We are hopeful.
I believe in them, and I believe they are going to win. Scoreline maybe 2-0.
2-0 to the Gambia.
Yeah, for you.
1-0
for the Gambia.
For the Gambia.
So our game tomorrow with Guinea, don't have no doubt we will win, inshallah. Maybe it will not be 1-0, because in that game I expect more goals.
I'm going for Gambia 2, Guinea 1. And this, we have Musa Barrow 1, and let's say Seka Barrow also.
In under 18 hours, Scorpions, the debutants, will clash with Guinea, whose best performance in the AFCON was finishing as runners-up in 1976. The Gambia hopes have also been heightened by the suspension of Guinea's captain Naby Keita of Liverpool. The Scorpions of the Gambia will by all means use that and quote Sampey's strategies hosting the Silly National of Guinea. Farmer Abaji, GRTS News.
Well, with all predictions there, the game has ended in our favor and we're already champions, and congratulations to the boys. Well, we'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll take out what else is making headline news around the world. To stay with us. Welcome back to GRTS with me, Fatou Janimbai. And in the internationals, authorities in Burkina Faso has declared an overnight curfew yesterday with a military coup declared today. Soldiers who have staged a mutiny at several barracks across the country with intense gunfire at 3 major cities has today detained the president and declared coup against the Roch Kabore-led government accused of corruption and incompetence. The new junta has also arrested top military generals based at Ouagadougou. The deposed military command close to the presidency were earlier demanded to resign for their failure to deal with jihadist insurgency that killed thousands of Burkinabe. Well, many international bodies have condemned what now appears to become a windfall for disgruntled military officers banking on civil strikes to make their move across West Africa. Well, France 24 picks up the rest of that story.
For 7 years, the jihadist threat has continued to grow in Burkina Faso. In the area known as the Three Borders, near Mali and Niger, groups affiliated with Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State have established a reign of terror. Between 2016 and 2018, the jihadists mainly hit Ouagadougou, the capital. On January 15, 2016, a double attack targeted a restaurant and a hotel. It left 30 dead and dozens injured. 2 years later, the French embassy and the army headquarters were attacked. The jihadists have since targeted mainly rural areas in the north and east of the country. But the Burkinabe also suffer from inter-community violence. In January 2019, in the province of San Matenga, clashes between the Fulani and Mossi left 72 dead and 6,000 displaced. On June the 5th, 2021, the deadliest attack yet. In the village of Solhan, 160 civilians were executed in the dead of the night. The attack was attributed to a rogue JNIM unit, but this branch of Al-Qaeda denied any responsibility. The Islamists have also inflicted heavy losses on security forces. Last November, an assault on the Inata gendarmerie left 57 dead. The gendarmes, weakened by the lack of food and ammunition, found themselves surrounded by several hundred heavily armed combatants. Since 2015, the violence in Burkina Faso has claimed a total of more than 2,000 lives, with 1.5 million displaced.
Now, Russia's foreign ministry has urged Britain to stop spreading nonsense. It rejected a claim from the British Deputy Prime Minister, Dominic Raab, that the Kremlin is seeking to replace Ukraine's government with a pro-Moscow administration. The move comes amid high tension between Russia and the West over Ukraine. Now, earlier today, the EU Foreign Council of Ministers met to discuss possible sanctions should Russia attack Ukraine. But analysts say the world is at crossroads should NATO intervene to rescue Ukraine.
Quick reaction from Kiev. Ukraine announces pro-Russian structures will be dismantled, a result of the UK's allegation that Moscow is plotting to install Russian leadership in Ukraine. Sunday, the United Kingdom's Deputy Prime Minister called on the West to join the UK in standing up to Russia should they invade.
We're standing shoulder to shoulder, saying there will be very serious consequences if Russia takes this move to try and invade, but also install a puppet regime. I certainly think financial sanctions, properly targeted and done in concert with our major partners, is something that we would readily look at.
Raab's statement comes as details following the Foreign Secretary's communique emerge. In the press release, Liz Truss names Ukrainian politicians and says some are in contact with Russian intelligence who plan an attack. One of those politicians is thought to be Yevhen Murayev, the British ministry said. Posting on Facebook, the former lawyer asked for an end to pitting pro-West and pro-Russian Ukrainian politicians against each other. Russia's foreign ministry dismissed the UK's allegations as misinformation and said London should stop spreading nonsense. As tensions soar, talks continue. The British Defence Minister will meet with his Russian counterpart and discussions between Washington and the Kremlin remain ongoing.
And elsewhere, less than 2 weeks before the start of the Winter Olympics, Beijing city officials are racing to test 2 million people following a small COVID outbreak. Local authorities identified a Fentai district in southern Beijing as the epicenter of a cluster where multiple outbreaks, driven by the highly transmissible Omicron variant, is surely testing Chinese zero COVID policy. Details in this report.
Zero tolerance. All 2 million residents of Beijing's Fengtai district must undergo a PCR test after a small cluster of COVID-19 cases was detected there. As Western countries record hundreds of thousands of new daily infections amid a wave driven by the highly contagious Omicron, the Chinese government is pushing hard to maintain a strict zero COVID policy. So far, it appears to be working. Beijing's first Omicron case was reported on January 15th. Since then, the capital has recorded only 43 locally transmitted COVID infections of any variant.
The epidemic related to the Omicron variant is generally stable now, with all the new cases coming from people under quarantine control. The risk of community transmission is limited. The epidemic related to the Delta variant is currently in the developing stage, with the transmission chain being basically clear.
That control, though, has come at a cost. 13 million residents in the northern city of Xi'an were confined to their homes for weeks following an outbreak there. Clusters have also led to harsh restrictions in the cities of Tianjin and Guangdong. Beijing, meanwhile, is in final preparations to host the 2022 Winter Olympics in what it calls a closed loop, separating all personnel and participants from the wider public. Organizers say they've detected 72 imported COVID cases since January 4th. Experts say China's zero COVID strategy could backfire. Unlike in Western countries, the majority of its population remains unexposed to the virus, leaving it potentially more vulnerable to outbreaks when measures are loosened.
And from Beijing, well, that brings us to the end of this edition of the news here on GRTS. But before we go, a quick reminder of our top stories once again. The Gambia national Scorpions has advanced to the quarterfinals of the ongoing African Cup of Nations in Cameroon after beating Guinea 1-0. Renowned international human rights advocate and Pan-Africanist Queen Mother claims $3 trillion from colonial masters being compensation to the 55 million Africans taking into the transatlantic slave trade. The Director General of the Gambia Immigration Department has embarked on a countrywide tour assessing immigration infrastructure and personnel. And in the internationals, authorities in Burkina Faso has deposed the Royal Kabori-led government, citing allegations of corruption and incompetence to deal with insurgents as reasons for his coup. Well, that brings us to the end of this edition of the GRTS News here on GRTS. I am your presenter, Fatou Janimbai. On behalf of the entire news team, many thanks for watching and congratulations to the boys once again. Besuba.
Hello! There's a new update from your favorite GSM operator, AfriCell.
For all of you that have struggled to buy cash